Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for I guess what's going to be a garage gun talk. And by the way, you might hear some sounds outside because I have my garage door open because it's actually a nice cool evening here in North Texas for once. It's been kind of a hot summer, so it's nice to be able to open the door, but we're going to hear sounds of cars driving by in the alleyway or maybe some birds. I know my wife is out there in the yard. I think she's doing a little gardening and going to sit out there, even though it is getting a little bit dark. But anyway, I wanted to just talk about guns tonight and share with you an experience that I had at the range last night. So right now, I'm trying something a little bit different when it comes to all the guns I have into the channel for review and suppressors that I need to review as well, and all the products that I need to make videos on. Normally, every weekend or at the beginning of the week, I try to record 1, 2, sometimes 3 things that throughout the week I will work on the final presentation for. But this weekend is Labor Day weekend and I have a lot of time. So what I'm trying to do is get a lot of the shooting portions of my range reports and product reviews done early. So instead of just doing 2 or 3 this week, I'm trying to get like 6 or 7 done. And so I went a couple nights ago, shot a few guns. I tried to go last night, and last night was miserable for me. Sometimes when I go to the range, I hit a home run, I hit a grand slam, I have a great time with the guns, I'm very productive. And then sometimes I get there just based off of either what's happening there or issues I'm having with guns. It's a nightmare, and last night was kind of a nightmare. So I got to the range. It's a late night on a Monday, which the range is closed, but I have 24-hour biometric access, and there was an IDPA match going on another part of the building. And of course, these guys, nothing against the people that love the competition shooting, but when they get done with their matches or get done with their training or whatever they do, instead of just going outside to talk, they have to come to the VIP lanes where I'm filming and pack up and talk and chit chat for like an hour. So I'm sitting there with all my camera equipment set up, waiting for them to move on. In fact, I kind of sat back in the chair and kind of closed my eyes. And I know they're looking like what are you doing? I said, well, I'm waiting for people to leave because you're not using these lanes and I need quiet, especially if I'm going to shoot suppressed. And they're just blabbing, just talking real loud. It's more than I could edit out, and it would be kind of a distraction when I'm reviewing a gun. So I got there probably about 8:30, 8:45, and I wasn't able to start filming anything until 10 o'clock. So I just literally blew an hour and a half or so of just nothing. I just kind of sat there, and I already had the camera, the lights already set up. It's not worth taking it down, going home, and coming back later. So I just kind of waited it out. So I was already kind of in a bad mood. And I had a couple other people come in as soon as the IDPA people left. Then some people came just late at night to shoot guns, which is totally fine. I'm not upset when people do that because they pay for the membership too. And they were shooting some like really short-barreled ARs without a suppressor, so it was loud and obnoxious. So I had to wait for that. And I started finally, I said after about 10 o'clock to film some content. And the first thing I tried to review, I had a major problem with, and that's what we're going to figure out what's going on here tonight. And hopefully I didn't break the gun. Well, the gun I started off wanting to shoot was the very nice and high-end Infinity Cynical. I think that's how you pronounce it right here. And I did my first opening shots, like my first magazine with it. And let me tell you, this is the first Infinity that I have reviewed that really impressed me and blew me away, because this thing shot like a dream. It is a little bit on the heavier side. It might not be my favorite 2011, but let me tell you, when it came to the accuracy and the shootability of this gun, it was amazing. It was quite amazing. And just my first magazine of like, I forgot what these magazines hold, like 17 or something like that. It's because it's more of the compact size. it was like literally 15 or 17 rounds through like a hole about this big at 10 yards. It's like, oh my gosh, like this truly is a gun that makes me look like a better shot than I actually am. And so that first magazine was amazing. I was like, holy moly, this is it. Like this might be the pinnacle of 2011s for me. And I think for the price it should be. Then I went to the second magazine. And normally this is a test where I simply just set up the target at twice the distance and put another magazine through it, see if there's anything else about it that I discover that I like or don't like, and I would say I'll come back here to the garage and report to you on it. Well, there was an issue. I loaded the gun, or I put the magazine in the gun, and I tried to load the first round, and it got stuck on the feed ramp. It didn't really quite enter the chamber, and I was like, okay, maybe it's because the magazine was topped off. So I tried to kind of push the back of the slide, and it wouldn't go into battery. Okay, so I dropped the magazine, made sure the gun was empty. I took out a couple of rounds out of the magazine, put it back in, tried to load it again. And lo and behold, it didn't work. Like it literally was getting stuck. The rounds would not fully go into the chamber. And I was using the same ammunition I used on the first test. And so I dropped the magazine again and I tried to start running the action. And I started to notice it's like sticking a little bit. Now, right now, it's actually pretty good. Actually, right now, I'm trying to pull the slide back. It does get a little bit stuck. Like I'm getting a little bit of hesitation, like it's rubbing on something. Now, before I took this gun to the range, it had been shot by the owner D, and I took it apart and I cleaned it. Not like a deep clean, but I like, cleaned out the rails. I put a little bit of oil on it, made sure that all of the previous kind of carbon buildup was wiped off. I wanted the gun to be as fresh as possible when I went to the range. And right now, it kind of feels like it's kind of binding on something. Now, when I took this gun apart, I did discover there was a couple things about it I didn't like. And I'll show you that in just a moment. But I thought I would spend a little bit of time talking about what happened at the range while I take this gun apart and try to figure out what happened, because I could not finish the range report on it. I did, after I put this back in the bag, I was able to see if it's, I think it's still here in the bag, yeah. I had some time to finish the range portion of a review on the new O-Sight C. And this is the new full-sized RMR footprint O-Sight that uses a battery compartment instead of the charging hood, which I really like. And on this Walther PDP, it's pretty awesome. Luckily, I was able to get all the footage I needed on this thing. So I do need to edit that and get that going, because that really needs to go out this weekend. And by that time, after dealing with this and trying to figure out what's going on and starting so late, it was already like 11:30, and I needed to get up the next morning or today to go to work. So I called it quits. I did have the HK MR556A4 with me, but I just didn't get around to it. And I was like so mad because I was there from like 8:30 until 11:30 or so. And I literally got just enough stuff done for a basic product review on a red dot. So I was not happy. But anyway, I thought we would take this thing apart and see what the hell's going on, because it kind of seems like it wants to run good. Like if I pull the slide back, it seems like when I try to rack the slide from the rear, like you can see how it's like binding, but I don't feel it grinding. Like nothing about it makes me go, ooh, there's a problem with it. Like it's out of spec. As I said, the first magazine ran great, and I've already had the gun apart. And if I rack the gun from the front of the slide, it runs smooth. If I run it from the back, it hesitates. It like stop. Like I can't move it like that. So there's something about it that is not right. And maybe the tolerances are just too tight. But when I did have this apart, I did discover something about it I didn't like. So let me get out my tools and we'll take a look at this, and I'll show you my problem with it. So let me get a basic punch out here. So this thing comes apart like a typical 2011. All right. So, doesn't have a barrel bushing, so we're going to pull the slide back to the disassembly notch. And then you simply push out the slide stop. There it is. And then the slide should come forward. Now here is the first thing about this gun I don't like, and that is going to be the recoil spring assembly. And man, that thing is not wanting to come off. Man. Oh boy. See, I did think it has something to do with the recoil spring. Definitely did, because, okay, I might have to get my rawhide hammer out here and tap the back of this to get it off. And I got to be really careful because this is a very expensive gun that is not mine. There it goes. All right. Yeah. And it is exactly what I thought it would be. And it's the recoil spring. So you would think for a gun that is made essentially to be the absolute best would have the toolless takedown. Instead, this guide rod, which by the way, when you take the slide off, as you can see, it kind of sits up. Let's see if I can get that in focus. It sits up, so you gotta kind of compress it to get it down into the slide, but it doesn't line up with that little bushing in the front. So you kind of have to finagle around it to get it to go forward. And then it doesn't have the toolless system. It has those stupid holes in it, which I had to make a special tool for. Hangs on my wall here, out of a paper clip. And so you got to put that paper clip in that hole and then release the tension from the rear, and then the whole recoil spring comes out. But the way that this is designed, I was pretty sure it was rubbing on the bottom of the frame. I don't see any scratches or anything on the frame that would concern me. Once again, I'll get that into focus. But putting this gun back together, it was kind of a bitch. Excuse my language. Because you have to have the tension off of the recoil spring, and when you have it, it's constantly trying to push itself out. And so it rubs on the frame. And so getting everything to line up is really difficult. But I'm going to go ahead and take out this barrel just to inspect it and see what we have. I don't see any unusual wear marks on it. Nothing on the slide. Nothing up there in the front that concerns me too much. Just looks like basic wear. No like gouges or marring or anything. No, nothing that really stands out. But I'm pretty sure it's this recoil spring assembly. I'm going to take this thing apart and see what I discover as well. We got some rubbing here. So on the bottom of the guide rod, I don't think that's going to be much of a concern. It's not like it's gouging it, but we are getting some unusual wear. Let me wipe everything down. I'm not going to put any oil back on it right now, and see if I can get it to run a little bit better. But you guys saw when I first got this out how it was difficult to rack if I grabbed it from the rear. Why? I have no idea. And obviously I want to take care of this. And I have disassembled, and before you tell me, I don't know what, or you don't know what you're doing. I have disassembled so many 2011s and cleaned them. I know how they go, or how they come apart. All right, everything looks good there. All right, everything looks good there. All right, so let's put this all back together and see if we have the same issue. Okay, with my fancy schmancy tool here, my paper clip. I guess there's probably a real tool for this, but I've never seen it. All right, everything there should line up. Okay. Barrel back in the slide. Let's see. Okay, it locks up like it should. Okay. All right, let's put this back in here. And this is the hard part. This is the part that I'm like, why did they not use the toolless system? Because that would be so much easier. Okay. Now for this, to put it back, for you to put it back together, you do have to take out that tool. And so now the guide rod and recoil spring will be in the pistol. But as you see, it wants to pop up. And that's the hard part about it. And then, man, is it hard to get everything lined up again. Ah, man. Okay. This is the frustrating thing. I've honestly never had a 2011 be this difficult. I do not like this recoil spring system with this weird bushing in the front. Nothing wants to line up. So I can't push it through, so I can't get it down into the slide. See if I can take the tension off of the spring, maybe? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, it should not be this difficult. It's like it's a little bit out of spec or something. I don't know. So you guys get to see me fumble with this. And all I have to do is get the guide rod to pop out the front of the barrel bushing. I've never had this problem before because I have to have the recoil spring in here kind of flush up against the barrel so I can have the link come down and have everything line up so I can put it back onto the frame. Okay, I got it in there. Okay, somehow it's working. As you can see, the recoil spring guide rod is going through. Put that, I have to hold it with my thumb. And then I'll take the link, push that down. Let's put this back onto the frame. Okay. Make sure everything lines up. Okay. Now, of course, we have to be careful here to not put any type of idiot scratch on it. Now, the detent for the slide stop on this is really stout. Like, in order for you to get it started, you almost have to take a punch to push that detent down just a little bit to get the slide stop started on it. I want to be careful here. Okay. So now, let's bring it back to the disassembly notch, and it's back together. And that's working like it should. Yeah, I don't know what was causing that. I think it's that recoil spring assembly. And that's the way it should have felt before. Like now it's running right. Yeah, it unlocks with ease. But it's almost like that recoil spring can drop down and come out of the channel and gum up the system. Like it rubs a little bit. So I'm kind of wondering if I need to put on a lighter oil. In the past, I've used the Lucas gun oil. People always ask me, what do you use? Typically I use this stuff right here. And this has been great for me. And I love this little needle oiler. But I also have a little bit left over of some older, kind of thinner gun oil. I forgot exactly what it is. So now that it's working, let's see if we can open that up. I'll just put a couple of drops onto the rails. And I know that's not the best way to oil it, put some up here on the barrel because it does rub, because it is an island barrel. Okay, it's working better. It's still not as smooth as I would want it to be, but I definitely think now it would run. So I feel like, ooh, I'll see. It's better. So I'll take it back to the range, and let me tell you, that range report was off to a fantastic start. So I'm hoping it's going to work better. So if you guys know this design of a 2011, I know they're all different. Tell me some pointers and tricks that you have to the recoil springs if they're like this. I personally prefer the toolless designed ones and ones that are a little bit easier to reinstall. This one, it just has to be absolutely lined up perfect. And I know the Infinities are made to very tight tolerances, but this is one of those times when maybe it's too tight of a tolerance. You get amazing accuracy, but it's really easy to have a slight issue gum up the system. Seems like it's better, so we're going to take this back to the range and hopefully it's going to run this time, but no guarantees. But I did save all of the footage that I had when it came to running this gun, so I will talk about that in the review. Okay, it's back together. It's running like it should. So we'll just have to see if that fixes the problem. And I'll just run that lighter oil. So anyway, I think that's it. But I just wanted to share that experience with you, talk guns, show you what I'm doing out here in the garage, and share with you a pretty frustrating range experience. So some of you guys like these videos where we just chit chat about guns, what's going on, and kind of what's going on behind the scenes here at the Texas Gun Vault. So if you guys watched to the end of this, what I think is a boring video, which we really didn't discover anything major, but maybe you guys can help me with this if you have any experience. It's running good now, but as you saw, it was not running good earlier. It was binding a little bit, and I'm 100% sure it's the recoil spring and the recoil spring guide rod. Yeah, that's a lot better. So yeah, we're going to take this back to the range in the next trip, and hopefully it's going to run great. So if you watch to the end of this video, the word of the day is going to be oil. Oil, because I used the Lucas gun oil, and I had to change the oil for this particular pistol. So tell me what you know about this. If you can help me out, I would really appreciate it. And I guess that's it. So, as always, thanks for watching.